Hello everybody, my name is Fable, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be doing a video over more Therian drama, of course. Today is a situation that actually happened today. At least the bulk of what I believe is going to be the bulk of this whole situation. The birdie dogs call out and the Solar Pause, claims, document, all that good stuff. I will be going over an overview, the facts, the document, all of that good stuff, as well as my own opinions, because I do feel very strongly about this topic and the claims that are being thrown around, even if not directly, shall we say. First of all, Birdie Dogs is a Therian content creator. He is 21 years old. You may hear me refer to him as Rory throughout this entire video. This revolves around him and his partner. His partner I will refer to as Frank, as that is what I've heard him be called. There is not much to know about Frank. Solar Pause is the partner to Sodatab here on Therian side of YouTube. Not as big, not as heard of, but Tab does make videos about them. I do not know their exact pronouns, so I will be calling it they, them pronouns. Go over an overview of what this situation revolves around. So, the situation started with a comment on Birdie Dog's channel made by Solar. It was something revolving around his friend and Birdie owing his friend an apology. Birdie, from what I've seen, made a video about it, and from there, Solar escalated things. We will get into more about that and my thoughts and feelings on that later on in the video. Solar made a doc, I believe, that was released yesterday or today. I think it was released today, though, claiming that Birdie Dogs, Roy's partner, was talking to a 15-year-old on Discord. I believe it was Discord. This has been confirmed. We don't know much about Birdie's partner. We know that he has just turned 20 by the victim. By the victim's words, he just turned 20, so this situation happened when he was 19, so keep that in mind. They aren't on the internet, Birdie's partner, and from all we know is all from the victim's perspective. The doc claims that Birdie is allowing his partner to talk to this minor, and they heavily imply that Birdie and his partner are grooming or pedophiles. That is the overall basis. They don't exactly say that he is, but they do call him weird and creepy. And as you will see with the undertone of the entire document, they're basically calling him a pedophile without calling him a pedophile. First up, the first thing I'd like to cover about this whole situation is the escalation. Well, yes, I do think that Rory making an entire, I believe it was a short video over Solar was a little escalating. I think that it was more escalation to go from, hey, you owe my friend an apology, to here's an entire document about why I think your partner is a terrible person. So I find it ironic that in the document, Solar or Tab, I believe, might have made the document as well. I find it ironic that they say that he escalated things. I find it a little hypocritical of them to say that he escalated things when they also were very clearly in the wrong. Second of all is the victim. I used that term in quotes earlier because they themselves have said they are not a victim. I'd like to point that out and make a heavy disclaimer that the victim did make a video saying that the claims that Birdie and his partner were grooming them were false. They very clearly stated that Birdie didn't groom them, that they were not uncomfortable with Birdie, and they barely talked to Birdie. So making an entire doc about Rory is inherently in itself not good. Keep that in mind, that they made this entire document targeted at Rory when this whole situation was technically about his partner. The victim said very specifically that birdie dogs did not groom them. They said very specifically that they weren't uncomfortable, they don't talk, and they said that they were very uncomfortable with Solar talking badly about Rory like they do in the document. Inherently, they are going against the victim's wishes and making the victim more uncomfortable with this entire situation. They claim it's weird that Rory's partner is talking to this 15-year-old who I believe is almost 16, but I don't know exactly. They claim it's weird, but I'd also like to point out how they, in the document, defend the relationship between the victim and an adult. When they were 14, and the person just turned 18, and they were dating for about 5 months, and then dated for another 5 months once he was 15, and then broke it up. Soda Tab, in a video today, claimed that the victim said they weren't at all uncomfortable with them dating an adult when they were still 14 years old, 4 years younger with an adult. They were. They themselves said they were uncomfortable in a video that they had to take down because, for mysterious reasons, that it was up. They chose to upload it, but then took it down. And I'm gonna be honest, I think it was probably because of Solar and Tab and all the other people involved with this situation. I do want to point out how ironic it is they're defending the relationship, calling it platonic even though they use the term dating, and claiming that it was under Romeo and Juliet laws, which I'd like to add, Romeo and Juliet laws only apply for a 4-year difference if the person is under 18 when they're dating, right? So if a 15-year-old gets with a 17-year-old, that's okay. Not when a 14-year-old gets with a 18-year-old and stays with an 18-year-old. That is actually illegal. I know about Romeo and Juliet law because I myself, like a month and a half away from being 17, is with an 18-year-old. That is completely legal. That's ethical. But you defending so harshly an actual pet relationship is very insane, that you're claiming that adults shouldn't talk to minors when they were actively dating and cuddled, as you put it. Very, very weird, especially considering that the victim themselves said that they were uncomfortable with it and said for a fact that they were groomed by this person. I believe their name is Ditto. When they said they were groomed by Ditto, but then everyone, including you guys, took it and said Birdie Dogs is grooming them, when they themselves said they weren't. So, yeah, the victim also says that Birdie didn't groom them, and also has said that there is nothing wrong with their partner either. I'd like to point out how the things that I have seen from the victim specifically were screenshots that Tab put in their video, as well as I have read the doc. I skimmed through it, to be honest, because there was no evidence in the doc. I'd like to make that abundantly clear. There was no evidence in the doc that I could see, at least. It was just a whole lot of calling Birdie a white knight when you yourself are white knighting this situation. Solar, Tab, whoever is around and involved with this situation, claiming that Birdie is white knighting, you are speaking for the victim who has said that they weren't groomed. That is the definition of white knighting, is you defending someone who has said they don't want to be defended. You are white knighting. You're projecting. From the victim, they have said that the only thing, from what I've seen, that they talked about with Rory's partner was they were venting to them. They themselves have said that Frank had just turned 20, so if anything, a 15, almost 16-year-old talking to a 19-year-old is not inherently weird if there is no evidence that they were being manipulated, groomed, or which you haven't provided any evidence of that. And the victim has said that there is none. Alrighty, the next point that Tab made in their video today, I think it was posted like 2 hours ago, was the fact that they didn't call Rory a groomer, and they didn't call their partner a groomer either. They didn't inherently say that, right? They keep claiming that they didn't. They keep saying they don't. They're very defensive about that, which they haven't, right? They haven't called him or his partner a groomer, a pedophile, what have you, the works, right? But I find it ironic that they keep saying that when the only reason that you made the doc was to say, at the very least, that Birdie is dating and defending a predator. You may not say it, but that is your point, right? Because if that wasn't at all the case, the doc wouldn't have been made. The doc wouldn't have been posted. This wouldn't have gotten to this point where you are saying that adults shouldn't at all talk to minors, even if they're 19 and a 15-year-old who's almost 16, right? That's a 3 to 4 year age gap, which isn't that big, right? That's under Romeo and Juliet laws by your definition, right? It's not weird considering that the victim was with Ditto when they were 14 and Ditto was 18. That is a 4-year age gap. There is also a 4-year age gap and a little more between Rory's partner and the victim. So if you're going to sit here and defend them being together, that it doesn't line up. Your logic doesn't line up. And the victim isn't even on your side. I'd like to point out you have no evidence, and you don't even have the victim's claims to back you up, considering they are going against what you say. They didn't ask to be spoken for, from what I've seen, because this person is the only person you talked about, really. The last point I think I'm going to make today is the claim that Rory shouldn't be talking to a lawyer and that he's threatening legal action when he shouldn't be, right? At this point, he should. I'm going to be 100% honest. If I were in this situation, I would be calling the police, to be honest. And I'd be contacting YouTube to get you blocked from my channel. Because what you are doing is defaming him. You are claiming that his partner is doing something illegal and claiming he's defending it. That is in itself defaming. And even if it's not your intention, you're actively sending people to go hate him and harass on him. You are responsible for that. If you haven't stated explicitly, don't go harass him, which I haven't seen that at all anywhere. Even in Tab's video today, I didn't hear him say at all, don't go harass birdie dogs. So in of itself, you are actively harassing him and defaming him and claiming he's done something without actual evidence, which in itself is a crime. It's a crime worth at least $10,000 and maybe a year in jail. I'd like to point that out. Just pointing that out. So if anything, him going to a lawyer now is the correct approach, and I'd recommend you take the video down now. Take the videos down, take the doc down, because unless you post actual evidence, which you yourself said you're not responsible for, and you don't have to post, you're committing a crime here and posting it for the internet to see. The internet and, the cops might not see it that way, but if he finds a hell of a good lawyer, you could be in deep. So that is my thoughts on the birdie dog situation. If it isn't clear, I'd like to point out, I stand with birdie dogs. while sure, he might be making a hell of a big deal about this situation, at least in the beginning, now he's not, because you are blasting him over social media over something that you have zero evidence for. And it sickens me, because you're actively making people in the community scared to reach out to people because they might be predators. You're doing more harm than you're doing good, especially unless you have evidence. If you have evidence, post it. He's not gaslighting you saying that you need to post the evidence if you have it, because you claiming this, it is your responsibility to submit the evidence, because otherwise it's fraud in a way. You're defaming a man with no evidence. It's like if I went to court, if someone pointed at me and said they just stole a car, right? And I went to court and I got arrested because you said I stole a car. There was no evidence. That wouldn't stand in a court. And that's how this process works. You're trying to cancel him. You can sit here and say that you're not, but you are. I'll have links to Birdie Dog's channel in the comments. Zach the Wolf apparently made a great post about him. I know he stands with Rory. If evidence does come out that Rory or his partner has actually done something bad, I apologize. But at this moment, if you watch this video and think that Rory is in the wrong still, aside from maybe he made a big deal out of this situation at the beginning, I think that there's nothing else I can say to you aside from look at the doc yourself. I did. It's just a hell of a lot of claims. So I'm going to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this as well. Do not go harass Tab. Don't go harass Solar. Don't go harass the victim. Don't go harass Birdie, right? Solar, Tab, if you guys are watching, I'm extremely disappointed, because I did watch Tab's content and I wanted to be like them, but at this point I'm extremely disappointed because they're making false claims without evidence, and it's disheartening, right? Birdie, if you're watching this, there are people out there who understand, who are watching you, who care, and who understand that there is no evidence and stand with you. Yeah, so that's my opinion, my take, my stance on this whole situation. But yeah, date of recording is the 19th, the day this whole situation happened, I think. I will update you if I'm wrong. If not, this video is set in stone.